What are you doing in my swamp? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2009 movie Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel. So in this movie, the Chipmunks are rock stars and really big, and one night when they're in the middle of a concert, Dave gets hurt and is having to spend some time in the hospital, so he wants the boys to go to high school and live a normal life and stuff, because apparently they're teenagers now, which I guess in chipmunk years that probably makes sense, but they still act like kids too, if that makes sense. It's weird, and they're trying to fit in high school and learn how to live life going to high school and stuff. And the Chipettes, who were not in the first movie, were introduced in this movie, and they're trying to get help from Ian from the first movie, once again played by David Cross. They're trying to get him to help them become famous like he did the Chipmunks. They don't realize how bad he is and stuff, and he is trying to help them. Nobody is willing to listen to him and stuff, because they know about his reputation because of the incident with the Chipmunks. So he ends up sending them to the school, and they enter a music competition at the high school, and everything. And so the Chipmunks are supposed to be facing off against the Chipettes. Meanwhile, there's a subplot with Alvin joining the football team and becoming really cocky and not really being there for his brothers and stuff. And Simon is getting bullied by Alvin's new friends, and Theodore has this little arc where he's scared that something's going to happen to their family because of Dave being hurt and everything. It's bothering him, and his whole world's out of whack with Dave being in the hospital. So eventually, of course, you know how it's going to end. Ian ends up showing his true self to the Chipettes. Then Alvin has to help them get away from him, and they go to live with the Chipmunks, and it's all a big happy ending from there. You know pretty much exactly how it's going to go in this movie, but I think this one is alright. I had some fun with it and stuff. It's like I said with the first movie, it's one of those that I loved a lot more when I was a teenager, and the first one I liked a lot more than this one when I was a teenager and stuff. But this one is it's not quite as fun as the first, I guess, but in some ways I do like it a little bit more, because I do like the addition of the Chipettes, and they're voiced by Christina Applegate, Anna Faris, and Amy Poehler, and they're all fine. I mean, you can't really tell that it's them because of the squeaky voices. Just like with the Chipmunks, you can't tell their voice actors either, except for Greg Gubler, who voiced Simon. He's the only one out of any of the Chipmunks in these movies that you could tell who it is voicing, and it's just because he has that distinct kind of nerdy voice and stuff. But I think they were all fine in here in their voice roles, and Dave isn't in this movie very much. He's only in here at the beginning, and they show him a couple of times a little bit when he's just like on the phone with the boys, and then they don't show him again until the end, really. So he doesn't have much to do in this one very much, but he is fine in here, and Jason Lee does a decent job playing him again and everything. And in place of Dave, since the boys have to have somebody with them throughout most of the movie, it was supposed to be his aunt that was like a popular character in the animated show, and I think she was actually even in the Great Chipmunk Adventure animated movie. but at the beginning of the movie, she's in a wheelchair and she falls down a flight of stairs and stuff. So she's put in the hospital herself. So Dave's cousin Toby ends up taking care of him, and Toby is played by none other than Shazam himself, Zachary Levi. It is really weird, like watching this movie and watching Shazam and seeing pretty much how similar they really are. I know when Shazam first came out, I thought that it was gonna be it wasn't gonna work because of his performance in this movie, but going back and looking at this one after seeing Shazam, you kind of see him in this role a little bit, because he's pretty much playing this man-child that hasn't grown up and stuff. He's been out of high school for about 10 years and doesn't want to grow up, really. He had a horrible time in high school and is just doing gaming and stuff, and he's actually pretty funny in here. There are some parts in here where he's really funny, and part of it is like his diet when he's talking and stuff. Like, you can tell he's trying not to laugh and everything. I'm guessing it's because he's talking to nothing, and he just has a hard time keeping a straight face, just not talking to anybody, which you would think would make it easier, but he's fun to watch in here. The only thing I didn't like about him is that he does have this stupid fart joke in this movie, because you can't have any of these kind of movies without some kind of fart or poop joke, and that part really was annoying, but that was more towards the writing, I think, than him himself. I don't think he improvised that scene or anything. But I like Toby. I thought he was really good, and kind of wish we would have got to see him again in the other two sequels. This is the only one we get to see Toby in and everything, but this was my introduction to Zachary Levi and stuff. I would have never known that he would later go on to be in one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. And the music in this movie is pretty good. I like a lot of the music in the first movie a lot more, and stuff like the new renditions of the original Chipmunk songs. This one doesn't really do that. It just uses like popular songs and stuff, and a lot of them are like ones from the time this movie came out, like Beyonce's All the Single Ladies and Katy Perry's Hot and Cold, which they of course had to edit that down because of this being a PG family movie. But I still thought it was cool that they had those songs in here, and I remember I had the soundtrack to this one like I did the first one. I didn't listen to it on repeat near as much as I did the first, though. It just wasn't as good, but I did like listening to some of the songs on here, and the We Are Family, which the Chipettes sing with the Chipmunks at the end of the movie, was pretty cool. And my favorite song that they did in this was the You Spin Me Right Round, which plays during the credits, and one of the scenes in the movie that I loved it when they were sitting in the blender thing and just going in circles and stuff. That scene is always fun to watch. But I think this movie is better than a lot of people say it is. I wouldn't say it's anything super great, and I can get why people don't like it, though, because it really isn't a very well written movie. It's not anything super great, but it's just one that I have fun with. I don't mind watching it every once in a blue moon, kind of like with the first one. And part of it, nostalgia does play a little bit into it, although I don't have as much nostalgia for this one as I did the first, because I went through a really big Alvin and the Chipmunks phase when the first one came out. This one, my love for the Chipmunks was started a little bit. By the time the next one got out, it was pretty much gone, but I still think it's fun. It's a harmless little fun family movie, not anything super spectacular. And I will say that the Chipmunks themselves look a little bit better too. You can tell they had a bigger budget, and the CGI on them was a lot better. And also the scene at the end when Ian is defeated by the Chipmunks and stuff, like once again, and he's going on stage and he's using these hand puppets pretending to be the Chipettes and everything, and that part is really, really hilarious. And knowing how David Cross felt about being in these movies and seeing the look on the poor man's face when he's doing that scene, like you can tell he's miserable as hell doing that scene, but that scene just cracks me up every time when he's doing all the single ladies thinking he's trying to use the little high-pitched voice, and it's just absolutely hilarious, and makes the entire movie worth watching just for that scene alone. But I'd say I'd give Alvin and the Chipmunks the Squeakquel a 7 out of 10. It's not anything super fantastic or anything, but it is a fun enough movie and everything. Yeah, I still like the first one just a tiny bit more, but I think it is a pretty good sequel, and really it doesn't get the love it deserves. I mean, I know it did do pretty good in theaters and stuff, but it could have been a lot worse and everything. I don't think it's near as bad as most people say it is. Maybe it's just my taste is a lot different than most people too. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.